Hey guys, so if you've been watching the news or been online lately, you've probably seen a couple articles talking about this new study that just came out looking at basically the effectiveness of a multivitamin and certain standalone vitamins and minerals that most Americans supplement with. And this was basically a meta-analysis that pulled a bunch of data from a whole bunch of studies that have been done recently, and then the researchers compiled this data, ran their own analyses on this conglomerated data, and then drew their own conclusions. And so a lot of people have been reaching out to me saying, Ty, have you seen this study? Are you worried? Because I own a supplement company, supplement retail company, and we sell multivitamins. And the reason why they're asking if I'm worried is because the study basically came out and said, multivitamins are essentially useless for the parameters they were studying, and most standalone vitamins and most standalone minerals are also useless. A couple actually increased the risk for the parameters they were studying, and a few of them decreased the risk for the parameters. But all in all, the results were fairly dismal for supplements. And so the parameters they were studying were basically cardiovascular risk factors. So heart disease, heart attack, stroke, and all-cause mortality. All-cause mortality is basically your risk of dying from everything. So like I said, multivitamins in general, and for in general, most of these vitamins and minerals had no benefit, but they also had no risk. And then a couple of them, like niacin and broad-spectrum antioxidants, actually slightly increase the risk for these parameters. And a couple of them, like folate and broad-spectrum B supplementation, slightly decrease the risk. So I guess that's a win for supplementation there. But so at the end of the day, it's important to understand that first and foremost, this is a meta-analysis, and nutritional data is really tough to obtain because it occurs over such a long period of time. So these are typically not gold standard studies, meaning they're not double-blind controlled studies where someone's in a lab environment and they're monitoring everything. These are typically population studies that are done by surveys. And so a lot of the data can be skewed because there's a ton of variables that can't be controlled for. And I'm not making any excuses here. I'm just kind of trying to explain this type of population-based data and kind of some of its limitations. Another big issue with this study and all studies looking at supplementation is that they typically, and they use the supplements that people use, and people use really bad supplements. And so one of the most famous studies that basically showed multivitamins have no benefit studied Centrum Silver, which is a very popular multivitamin, and it's also a garbage multivitamin. I will never recommend that multivitamin. It's really poorly formulated. The nutrients are not in the right form. So it's no surprise to me that this data shows that there's no benefit, because they're taking really low quality products that are ineffective and running studies on them. So, if you're out there using a really high quality product that is properly formulated by doctors and by pharmacists and is using the most bioavailable form of each nutrient in the right ratios, I think you would see a totally different result. But the studies, aren't necessarily done on those products. So, for me, this isn't a surprise, and I'm not really worried because my clientele understand this. They understand that when they come to me, they're buying a much higher quality product, and that's why they don't go and buy the $10 multivitamin from their grocery store, because they know it doesn't work. And that's what this study basically looked at. So let's see, what else I want to cover. So I guess this just really reinforces my first and my second recommendation to everyone. My first recommendation is that you need to be getting the vast majority of your nutrition through whole foods. If you think you're gonna skate by eating a low quality, standard American, highly processed diet and then just slapping a multivitamin on, and you think that's gonna ameliorate kind of the negative side effects of that poor diet, you're wrong. And you really need to make sure that you have a solid foundation of nutrition, and most of your nutrition is coming from whole foods. So that's recommendation one. Recommendation two is that if you are looking to not spend a lot of money on supplements, you're better off not buying them at all. And so the first thing I ask people is, hey, what's your budget for a multivitamin? And if someone comes back and says $15 or $20, I immediately say that, look, we're done here. You are much better off spending that $15, $20, $25 on slightly improving the quality of the food you're eating, buying a few more fruits and vegetables, and improving the quality of the meat or whatever, getting grass-fed instead of grain-fed, stuff like that. You're going to get a much more bang for your buck by improving your nutrition with those $20 than in trying to supplement with some cheap multivitamin. And so it's really important to understand that you get what you pay for in the supplement industry, and it's also really important to understand that you need to find someone who knows what they're talking about unless you want to go educate yourself on the topic. And it's not easy to educate yourself on the topic of nutrition and health in general. So I really think it's important to find someone that you trust, whether it be your doctor or your pharmacist, someone that really knows what they're talking about. And that's why we created my website, which this isn't a plug for my website, so I'm not going to mention the name, but it's really a place where you can come and you can trust myself and my partner, who's a pharmacist, who have 20 plus years of experience in this field, and we really understand what products work, what products don't work, what brands produce good products and clean, pure products that aren't contaminated. And so at the end of the day, you need to make sure that, one, you're getting most of your nutrition through whole foods. Number two, you're buying quality products from reputable brands, if at all. So if you're not going to go that extra step, spend a little bit more money and find someone who really knows what they're talking about, then you're much better off just spending that money on improving your daily nutrition. And so, yeah, all in all, I expect that the more of these studies come out, especially looking at really far clinical endpoints like cardiovascular parameters and all-cause mortality, I don't really think you're going to see a major change in the results if they keep looking at lower quality supplements and broad swaths of the population for these long-term clinical endpoints. I don't really see a change in these results, so that'll keep coming out, and I'm not really all that worried at the end of the day, because the people that understand the science and the people that understand the benefit of high-quality supplementation aren't going to be swayed by research like this. But again, as with anything, take the study with a grain of salt and don't just read the headline of New York Times written by some guy who has no idea what he's talking about as far as health and nutrition or whatever, and really look into the study. And when you actually look into this pretty long study, the results are not as scary as a lot of people are making it out to sound. So that's it. As always, if you have questions about health, nutrition, supplementation, and anything in that vein, I'm here to help you. Hope everyone has a good day.